Notice the sound of the room you're in, the low hum of an appliance, the distant traffic, the sound of your own breath. For most people, this is just background noise. But for you, it's a landscape. You've spent a lifetime mastering the art of observation, of existing in the spaces between words, in the silence others rush to fill. You are the quiet one, the watcher, the listener. It's a role you know well. Perhaps it even feels like you. You're the one who notices the subtle shift in a friend's expression when they say they're fine. You're the one who absorbs the energy of a room before you even take a step inside. Your silence isn't empty. It's filled with a constant stream of data, a relentless analysis of social cues, unspoken tensions, and hidden meanings. People might have called you shy, introverted, maybe even aloof. They see the calm surface and assume it reflects a calm interior. But you and I know the dark truth hidden beneath that stillness. Your quiet is not a choice of peace. It's a strategy of survival. It is the echo of an old lesson, learned so young you can't even remember the classroom. To be seen, to be heard, to take up space is to be at risk. And here is the core paradox of your life. The very silence that once served as your shield, the camouflage that protected you from judgment, from conflict, from being too much for the world to handle, is now your cage. The thing that protected you once is now the thing that is quietly, methodically isolating you. It's the invisible wall between you and the connection you crave, the recognition you deserve, and the authentic life you were meant to live. Your silence was once your armor, but you've worn it for so long it has fused to your skin. This early experience hardwires the nervous system for hypervigilance. This is not a state of mind, it is a state of being. Your brain's threat detection system, the amygdala, becomes permanently overactive. You walk into every room not to be in it, but to scan it. You listen to every conversation, not to participate, but to analyze it. Who is safe? What is the emotional temperature? What does this person really mean? Your quietness is the external symptom of this intense internal monitoring. You can't be spontaneous and free because your mind is running a constant, high-stakes calculus of social survival. This relentless scanning is utterly exhausting, which is why you often feel so drained by social interaction, even when you've barely said a word. Over time, this pattern crystallizes into what psychologists call an avoidant attachment style. If expressing needs as a child led to disappointment or subtle rejection, you learn to stop having them. You become a self-contained island, fiercely independent, because you've learned that relying on others is a surefire path to pain. You keep people at a safe distance, not because you don't desire closeness, but because the risk of it feels, on a primal, cellular level, completely unbearable. There is a profound, unseen cost to this way of living. It is a life of invisible grief. The cost is the constant, low-grade hum of loneliness, a loneliness that persists even when you are surrounded by people who love you, because they love the person you show them, the quiet, easy, undemanding observer. They don't know the person screaming on the inside. The cost is the sacrifice of authenticity. You become a masterful chameleon, mirroring the energy of others, agreeing, nodding, and validating, all while your own thoughts, opinions, and desires are locked away in a soundproof vault. You feel like a fraud, waiting for the day you were discovered. The cost is the endless, gnawing feeling of being misunderstood. People assume your silence is agreement, your passivity is contentment. They have no idea about the wars being fought, the novels being written, the symphonies being composed within the vast cathedral of your mind. The core fear that drives this entire architecture is the fear of being too much, too loud, too sensitive, too needy, too different. Underneath it all is a terror of your own intensity. This fear poisons simple moments. Where do you want to eat? And your mind freezes, not because you don't have a preference, but because the act of asserting one feels like a high-risk social maneuver. The great psychoanalyst Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, those parts of ourselves we repress to be socially acceptable. For the quiet watcher, the shadow contains their entire voice, their anger, their passion, their wildness, their raw, unfiltered needs. Living this way is like being a ghost in your own life, present but never truly participating, never truly touching or being touched by the world around you. This childhood strategy marches into adulthood. It manifests in predictable, painful patterns. This is not you. This is the architecture working itself out. They become adults who, in relationships, attract emotionally unavailable partners because the dynamic of neglect feels familiar and, therefore, safe. You don't know how to handle real intimacy, so you subconsciously choose those who will never demand it of you. In their career, are often brilliant and highly competent, but are consistently overlooked. They do the work, but never claim the credit. They have world-changing ideas, but never speak them in the meeting. They wait to be noticed, a strategy that worked for survival as a child, but fails spectacularly in the adult world. With their self-worth, carry a deep, unshakable belief that their presence is an imposition. They apologize for existing, for taking up space, for having needs. Their self-worth is entirely external, dependent on the approval of others. With boundaries, have no idea where they end and others begin. Saying no feels like a declaration of war. They become chronic people-pleasers, sacrificing their own well-being to keep the peace, all while a silent resentment builds within. With emotional regulation, cannot name what they are feeling. When asked, "How are you?" the answer is always fine or okay, because their true emotional state is a locked room for which they have lost the key. They experience emotion as a threat to be managed, not a signal to be honored. With their internal identity, feel a terrifying emptiness inside. Because their personality has been a performance for so long, they have no idea who they are without an audience to adapt to. Being alone can feel like a complete dissolution of self. The first step in unlearning this is not to force yourself to speak. It is simply to witness. To see these patterns not as personal failings, but as brilliant, outdated survival strategies. You are not broken. You are. So how do we begin to dismantle the cage without shattering the person inside? The path forward is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is gentle. It is a process of turning inward with compassion, not judgment. The first step is nervous system regulation. Your body is still living in the past, braced for a threat that is no longer there. Simple practices, placing a hand on your heart and chest, taking a deep breath and exhaling slower than you inhaled, looking around the room and naming 5 objects you can see, can send a powerful signal to your brain. You are safe now. The war is over. The next step is a form of inner child reparenting. It is the act of speaking to that small, quiet child within you. You find a quiet moment and you tell them everything they needed to hear. I see you. I hear you. Your feelings make perfect sense. You are not too much. You were never too much. It is safe to have a voice now, and I will be here to protect you. And finally, this journey requires shadow work. It is the courageous act of slowly, gently reintroducing yourself to the parts of you that you've disowned. The anger, the desire, the passion. You start small. You allow yourself to have an opinion on what to have for dinner. You allow yourself to say no to a small request. You share one thought in a conversation that you would have normally swallowed. Each tiny act is a reclamation. It is proof that you can express a piece of your true self, and the world will not end. The philosopher and poet Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final." The goal is not to transform yourself into a loud extrovert. The goal is not to be fixed. The goal is to become whole. It is to reclaim the parts of you that were silenced, so that your quiet becomes a choice of peace, not a prison of fear. It is to have a voice and to know that you have the profound, beautiful choice of when and how to use it. Your silence holds a lifetime of wisdom. Your observation has given you a depth of understanding few will ever know. There is nothing wrong with being quiet. The work is simply to ensure that when you do have something to say, and you do, you believe it is worthy of being heard. Because it is. If this story resonated with the quiet watcher in you, consider subscribing. We explore the hidden dynamics of the human experience here, and your presence, silent or not, is always welcome. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes, seeing ourselves in a story is the first step toward rewriting the ending.